Hello and welcome again to Steve's Long Stay Workshop, where sets come to Luke tap for various reasons. And this is one of two radios I brought back from Akron, Ohio, where Katie lives. And this is the main one. It's a Philips, and I picked this one for two reasons. One, I like the look of it, and two, it is not entirely the same as most AA5s. It's a bit different. They didn't actually use AA5s actually all across America. That design, any maker that used that design in America had to pay RCA, so some people just didn't, which is understandable. And so I got this one because, first of all, it's got a DM70, as we'll see in a minute, and it's got a few issues, shall we say. What do you expect? It's over 60 years old. Now, with American sets, first thing you've got to remember with them is you do not plug them straight into the mains. I always leave the plug on the American sets so that I can't just do it, because American sets run 110, 120 volts. Britain 230 volts, 240 volts, so you know it blows them up pretty quickly. But luckily here I've got adapter I got from a certain source, which you all know very well, and that will actually step it down. So with the arm there, like that, straight away it comes on. Which, shall we say, a well-known problem. Although it does actually receive on medium wave. Again, if you can hear that,
Home visits. Find out if you or a loved one are eligible for a free NHS-funded home eye test by...
I think this one will
the absolute classic rock party on Absolute.
Yeah, that as well.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's have it, and then let's deal with the eye over, and let's have a dinner.
Weekend lineup featuring Johnny Owen and friends.
So what do we know about it from that? Well, first of all, I know I shouldn't power them looking inside first, but life's too short for all that, quite frankly, isn't it? So, well, this is a nice set, and it's not got a long run with it, so let's have a little look inside and see what is going on with this, and of course, what isn't. It's a Philips, by the way. The Philips sets weren't used often in America, and that was because the Americans tended to confuse Philips with Philco, the Philadelphia corporation, who also made sets out there, and they used to get the two very mixed up. So Philips sets all there were generally done under brand names such as Mercury. So now let's have a look inside and see what. Right, first of all, we know straight away that somebody's been in here before us, and that's good, which is not like these others, and so these other ones come off as well. I'll have a look inside and see what the damage is, shall we? Right, now I've got inside this thing and looked around and looked at what's what and what's where. Now, yeah, this is a set with the D series valves in, or their American numbered equivalents, as you can see from the circuit there. That's the circuit inside there, you see, and circuit and also the lid. So this actually, although I brought it from America, I don't know if this is actually American, and I say that because it's 50 rather than 60 hertz on here. So this was one that somebody brought across from somewhere, so it's not truly American, although it works very well on the American system. 12 watts, LX437AB, if anyone is in the number, I will be later on probably. Now, also with these, then capacitors need to go. Those need to go, okay? no ifs and buts, they need to go. Okay. Now, also with this, as you know, you heard just now that you had this hum problem as well. That is very common with these sets. It is either going to be the squealing capacitors or possibly a broken earth somewhere, one of the two. Again, we don't know as of yet which one it will be. We did know, I'll be happy man, but we'll know at some point, you know. So they come off that like you see, and now of course we take the knobs off the front, and it should come off. Note, I say should, because quite often these things tend to give problems. So I'll stop the camera while I take the front off, and then of course I'll pick it up from there and find out things like why it's humming, basically. Well, not the easiest thing to get apart, actually, I must say. That goes on in the front of the machine, similar to the Murphys, which can be a problem. The knobs were hard to get off because of the rust on the controls here, which we got them off in the end with too much trouble. This set actually has an extra valve, a front end valve, which is quite nice to have. So it's not the usual 5-valve radio, and whether this is something which I'll have to pay RCF for in the States, I do not know. Indeed, something might have brought this into the States because Philips weren't popular in the States, like I said previously. Now then, with it apart on the bench, have a look inside. These battery valves, by the way, two things to remember there. First of all, they will fail because there's a wire in the day. I'm not kidding, they will. So you've got to be very, very careful with them. That's one thing. The other thing is that they come up straight away. Which you hear there. So therefore, this radio is basically working. So what we've got to do now is change anything that needs to be changed, and basically make it work better than it does now. Because obviously it could, as you can hear, it could work a lot better. But with that extra thing, brings in stations from outside the area. So now, put it back on the talking. Now, with sets, any set like this is PAIR. Power supply, audio, IF and RF. So we start with the power supply. The power supply on any radio of this type creates two voltages, HT for the heaters and LT filaments. In America it's BAT and FILS. Now this doesn't have a valve rectifier as a metal rectifier, so we check that. I think it's okay, and of course we check the voltages to the valves as well, and also whether they are in parallel or in series. So I get the circuit, go and put the laser that way, and we'll have a look. Here's the circuit of the radio in question. It is an LX437AB. It's battery valve radio with the D series valves in, or the American equivalent 1S7, etc. But it's the same radio. It's been in America for a while because one of the valves in it is a Dumont, which is an American brand. But anyway, there you go. Under 110 volts, 120 volts or so, like most of them do. Now, these sets, what two things to think about. First of all, capacity changes. C1 has to go straight away. Add the one few more because they are the black tar ones that Philips use, and they do actually tend to fail, as it were, go leaky. So that go right. Also, of course, there's that one there, the rig capacitor, that has to be changed, of course. Regardless, that has to go. What else? Well, there's the smoothing capacitor, obviously needs to be looked at, and also with these sets, the heaters on these, I meant to run it DC. They smooth DC from AC means that they do have to be well and truly smoothed. So capacity to do that has to be certainly looked at or changed. So, and also there's the EDC cap, which is if it's there, I don't know quite where it is yet, but I'll find it and let you know on that. It's a standard 5-valve circuit, but it isn't. This one might not need to be paid to RCA. Don't have a rectifier valve, it has a bridge rectifier, which is the end sec. I'll show you that in a sec. It's also got an RF stage as well, which means this set could be quite sensitive. That's the circuit. Now the caps in question that need to be changed are these here. There you go. These things here. Yeah, they have to be changed, and they have to be changed because, like I said, they do go into and fail pretty quickly. There's one also across the rectifier, which is this one. Hang on, I'll stand it up. Hang on. Come on. There you go. There's this one here. So those caps, and that one too, probably has to be changed. There's no reason why they shouldn't be changed, but it's certainly an idea to do it. So do it. We most certainly will. Also with these sets, by the way, they've also got one of these, which is a DM70. These valves often used in tape recorders, but here it's D, of course, is like the rest of them, so it will work in this situation here, DM70, which is probably going to be for station strength. So anyway, let's find the bits and change the capsize and try it again. Well, I put some caps in and tried it, and wasn't a lot of noise to be had at all. And there's a saying in this trade, MMF, which stands for man-made fault, was what this was. The capacitors were okay, once a 2K in the process, these are new. And I took out the wiring for the batteries as well, because 7.5 but batteries, they're a bit hard to get hold of, and I thought, well, there's a way. In the process, I cut another wire, and that wire, get the circuit, see that the end of it there, it goes to the second grid of B4. That's the audio amp before the output circuit. Yeah, when this happens, you will go around in circles, but the thing to do is to start and check it all the way along, which is what I did. And now I've got to sort out how to get this wire back into place and take it from there, which is no mean feat by the look of it, but we'll see what we can do. And yeah, it's a man-made fault, which I admit it's a mistake on my part, so now we've got to put it right. So what I'll do first of all, I'll take that out of the way, that strip there out of the way, and then we'll go inside and put a new length of wire from pin 4 there to there, which is where it goes, okay? And from there, we might even get some audio. You never know, do you? Right, the man-made fault has been repaired, and also I put on a couple of capacitors that I took off just to try and find out which one it was. So now, plug it in now, we have music, and of course
Crooks and David Adams with Skin, which is great. Cody Radical, really interesting.
Right before half-time, the French equaliser due to the Germans running out of the dressing room.
so there we are. Now we can now all I've got to do is sort out other capacitors like this one, like these. They're called liquid all sorts ones, as I've said before, and you change them on site. Okay. Inside here is a paper capacitor, and paper capacitors with age, water gets inside them and they become resistive, and when they become resistive or leaky, it does some very interesting things, especially on the output pentode here, which I've changed as well. So these on site, out. Now also I noticed here, you might notice it's one of these that you can't find all computer power supplies. This the radio will work perfectly well without this, but what it does, it filters the mains that going into radio. So anything on the mains doesn't go into radio, it goes off through that. So that is the filter capacitor there. So that again, that's important for another reason. But always put a class Y capacitor in there, or a class X capacitor in there without fill. Don't put ordinary ones in. These are the ones I'm going to put in. Always put one of these in. And with the last capacitors changed in this, it's now a lot clearer. As you can hear there, I'm going to that. Actually.
Almost sending Gianni away through the centre on that occasion.
And that's talk sport, but the moment we're about women's football, which is something which I don't agree with. I admit, you know, a bit like a woman preaching, done but not done well. Anyway, now we're talking about putting the thing back together again, and putting a radio like this together again. You have to remember that a radio apart and a radio together are two different things, as we found with what's come up actually, a tape recorder. So every step of it is done, and the unit is then checked again. So very, very careful at this point. But it appears to be better now. Yeah, exactly. Women's football. What is the world coming to? Well, here is the set in question is finished and back in its case. Again, every little bit that goes in, you test it after every little bit, because otherwise things do get in the way and things like that do happen. Also with these, by the way, the speaker on these has to go in a certain way, otherwise
The country, spot them and you could win big.
Yeah.
Join us next week to play.
Anyway, the thing is with these, the speaker has to go a certain way. If you look at the back of the, you know, on the front, see on here. No, I don't think we can. It's a bit fitting, but the back of most speakers is round. This one, part of it is siphoned off, so it's like a circle and a square. Yeah, and the square part of it has to go at the bottom. Otherwise, the speaker will obstruct the chassis from going back in. So watch for that. That's one which I admit will caught me. I also admit that there's some quite daft errors made by me on this. But remember, those big capacitors that I sort of showed you, change them on site. The black ones, change them on site with anything like this. They do fail, especially after like 60 years. You know, I mean, I'm 55. Look at me. But don't want to know that. Apart from that, they're quite nice little radios, and with all American radios, this is American. Always keep the plug on, so you can't plug it into made by mistake. Because plug it into made by mistake, yeah, you would do all sorts of damage. Certainly the valves will fail straight away, a full set of valves, which is something which you don't want to happen. And also on this one, there's capacitors and that, and the diode rectifier. It could cause a mess, so always leave that on. This isn't quite as sensitive as it should be here, because I think my adapter isn't quite up to the standard.
You think that means time to buy a zillion and dip it in chocolate, because this broadband...
Well, rather be on shot with this time, but certainly have a look. Ah. Whether that will check this, that will take. So there you are, it's a working radio after all this time. $22 it cost me at the time, plus shipping, which is rather more. But it's here, it's working on both bands. Actually, this set also had two aerials. It has a standard one in the back for medium wave, or broadcast band, as the numbers came from. And this here on the top is for a short wave. So very, very nice little radio. Also, American sets, generally speaking, don't have long wave on them. The Americans never use long wave for broadcast. So, like a lot of British export sets to other parts of the world, they don't have long wave, but they do have more than one shortwave band. Anyway, there we are. It's a working radio again after all this time, and those capacitors were the source of the problem. And of course, me, it's clipping the wrong thing by mistake and having a problem with. Finding out what I've clicked, but everybody makes mistakes, even me. But seriously, everybody makes mistakes. Mistakes are, in a way, your friend, because you know from them that you don't, you know not to do something again, or you know where to look. Mistakes are your friend in this trade, all right. Unless, of course, it's something that's only paying a lot for. I want it tomorrow, in which case they're not. But otherwise, they are. But there you are, a working American radio. So, I hope you'll join me soon on Steve's Long Stay Workshop. But until then, goodbye, then take care, and keep fitting radios. It's a thing to do. Bye-bye.